What is so interesting is when you see that trust fall, that surrender into the unknown work for you again and again and again, it becomes very easy to invest in even more devotion, even more devotion. We back, ladies and gents, with another philosophical download from the Daily Vedantic. Your favorite philosopher's favorite philosophy. The ancient wisdom of Advaita Vedanta, non-dual end of knowledge is what that means in Sanskrit. So taking the exotic terms, exotic words out of the equation, non-dual end of knowledge. Or better said, with the other Sanskrit words for the same philosophy, Sanatana Dharma, which means eternal principles. We are talking dim eternal principles. All day, every day. Well, 10 to 15 minutes every weekday, that is. This reflection is on the definition of devotion. Now, we've recorded a few episodes lately on the unique fact within this philosophy, there is a very explicit importance on reason and then surrender. Reason for years and then say, okay, I think I'm ready to dive into this philosophy more fully. Maybe I'm ready to devote my mornings to this philosophical side. You can spend as long as you want in the reason camp because nothing, according to this philosophy, nothing should go through our heads that doesn't pass through our own reason and judgment and make logical sense to us. But in that side of things, of surrender, there is this aspect within this philosophy at the right time for you of devotion. Devotion, a devotion to a practice. Devotion to a time to study each morning. Devotion to perhaps a community. Devotion to your spouse, to self-improve. Devotion to your children. Devotion to your service, your career, to those around you. It should not be surrender first and then reason second. It shouldn't just be, I'm going to surrender to whatever my parents say. I'm going to surrender to whatever my community wants of me. I'm going to surrender to whatever this person on the other side of the table is on a first date and surrender to them. No, it should have reason first. But when we get into this zip code of surrender, I love this definition of devotion. It is the surrender to the unknown. We think of devotion like we think of love. We talk about love. We talk about devotion, but we don't really know what we're talking about when we say love. Is it hugs? Is it emotions? Is it, are you just really obsessed with someone? Well, this philosophy identifies love as seeing no otherness in the world. Defines it quite concisely, clearly, separating it from a warm embrace or infatuation, taking it to an elegant extreme, but an extreme nonetheless, of seeing no otherness. When you truly love another, you identify with them. You see no otherness. And love, according to this philosophy, should not be preferential. I love these 3 people, these 8 people, but not the rest of the world. Love has a universal definition. That is not love if it is preferential. That is just attachment. An attachment, a preference for what those individuals can do for you. And if they do a bunch of things wrong, the love gets tested and or it breaks. Love, universally speaking, within this philosophy is seeing no otherness in the world. Devotion, similar term that's thrown around, and we can visualize what devotion looks like. We think about what devotion looks like, but this philosophy explicitly defines it. A surrender to the unknown. I love this definition. When you do spend that time of reasoning to a career, to a practice, a spiritual pursuit, to a spouse, okay, yes, this makes sense for this kind of union for the rest of our lives. And then you're ready to devote your life to them. You're at the altar. What does devotion look like on the other side of that decision to devote oneself to a person, a practice, a career, is a surrender to the unknown. Devote yourself to service to your community. It's not, I'm going to devote myself to this work until I become partner and then I cannot wait to get a nice BMW, a nice house. That's not devotion. That's pure selfish desire. Devotion is, okay, I have a preternatural understanding of law and I'm going to devote myself to my community. I'm going to surrender into the unknown, how they're going to use that preternatural wiring, how it best could be leveraged for my community, how it's going to go for me personally, but I'm going to make that commitment regardless. Devotion to a spouse. I don't know where this marriage is going to go on the other side of these vows. But devotion is a surrender to that unknown. Not an accumulation of what you love. I love this person around me, and I'd love this title for a job and service in my career. I want 1, 2, 3, 4 kids around me. That's accumulation, that's desire, that's attachment. Devotion is a surrender. It is a surrender of the highest order because it's not a surrender to a known entity, known path. It's a surrender to the unknown. When it comes to relationships, it is a surrender to any and all things could take place. But I'm devoting myself. I'm surrendering to this other person. For our work, this philosophy talks about swadharma, our nature. To work in alignment with our swadharma, our nature. That is a total devotion to, well, I've got a wiring for starting companies. I've got a wiring for music. I've got a wiring for athletics. I've got a wiring for teaching, and then you surrender into it. It is the opposite of, yeah, I've got a wiring for making music, but there's no money in that. I'm going to pursue investment banking because that's where I can really crush it financially. This philosophy says that not only is that not a service to your community, but it will be soul-crushing work for you. It will be self-annihilation, not self-aggrandizement. And your entire community will miss out on what you were uniquely wired to provide. But that path requires a surrender. So often it requires a surrender into the unknown, not knowing where it's going to go. This philosophy says over and over again, the fruits of our actions are not ours. We have the right to act. We have the right to action, to work, but we have no right to the fruits of that labor. This pairs really well to a devoted path in life where we devote ourselves to a cause, to our community, to our families, to our work, independent of any fruits that might come. And it's when we think about the fruits, an obsession on the fruits, where that oftentimes becomes the deciding factor of what we're going to do based on, well, which path will give me the most fruits, the most rewards. That's when we get the most lost. That's when we act without devotion. We act with pure selfish desire and self-preservation. Devotion is a surrender to the unknown. I love this definition because it underscores an aspect that can be the reason we hesitate to devote ourselves to anything, because we don't know where it's going to go. And yet that is the hallmark of devotion. That isn't a unique aspect of your devotion to this or that, or your decision to devote yourself to this or that. It is the defining characteristic. Sequencing is everything. Reason like crazy to understand what you're wired for, the right person for you. what you want to pursue, what cause you want to champion, perhaps. But once you've done enough of the reasoning and you're ready to act, once you've done a bit of trial and error and realize, dude, I really do have a wiring for this. Or, God, I cannot stop thinking about that cause. I almost like can't not do something about it. Might be several years in. Kudos to you if you have the patience to wait several years. Some people jump in without that reason. Might be several years in, and it might be nothing of what you expected. But when that reasoning narrows and clicks, and you just realize, yeah, this is the cause, or this is the practice, or this is the person. When you're ready for that devotion, don't be surprised if it is a surrender to the unknown. Because according to this philosophy, that's exactly what it should feel like. There should be corroboratory evidence that this will work out. That you look around and you see enough people that have made that choice that's right in front of you, and it worked out for them again and again and again. You see the corroboratory evidence. But because it isn't a one-way door, and you could retrace your steps if needed, what is so interesting is when you see that trust fall, that surrender into the unknown work for you again and again and again, it becomes very easy to invest in even more devotion, almost like you're mining into the unknown. And all of these good things start coming your way without any thought of the fruits or the rewards. And yet you find yourself steeped in all of these beautiful, blissful rewards, many of which you would have never even imagined. That is what hangs on the other side of that surrender to the unknown. At least that's what this philosophy tells us. Take it or leave it. And that's today's reflection on the Daily Vedantic. We'll see you next time.